What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Chris, man. We are here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. Um, it is December 9th. It is an early day, but it's all good. I love getting up in the morning, talking to different journalists, different people of all different backgrounds, being able to learn about them, being able to learn about who they are and their why. I got a special guest that's going to be coming on with me today. Her name is Larisa Karr. She is a reporter with the company called With Intelligence. So I'm intrigued because I've never heard of that company before, and I really, really would love to find out more about what she does on a day-to-day basis, her why of wanting to go into journalism, but also going to ask her some fun questions as well, and be able to uh, just kind of get to know her a little bit and build a connection. And that's just what you want to be able to do anytime that you have other journalists, because I'm a journalist myself, being a sports journalist. Anytime that you want to talk to other journalists, you kind of want to break bread and be able to share experiences that you've went through or that others have went through. So no question about it. I love being able to get to know other people in this field. This is beautiful. And without any further ado, I bring to you guys Larisa Karr.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, good morning. How we doing, Larissa?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, doing good. Early, but I love it.
It
I love it. That's for
is,
sure.
yeah.
But nonetheless, thank you for hopping on my podcast. I really do
Yeah.
appreciate it. I love talking to different people of all different genres when it comes to journalism.
Okay.
I would say the genre you do is what, news?
Yeah. So I write for With Intelligence. It's
Mhm.
kind of a database. We provide data and intel to a bunch of managers, service providers, investors who focus on a range of asset classes. So hedge funds, private equity. I do real assets, real estate and infrastructure. There's also private credit, private wealth, and traditional funds. So yeah, we cover a lot.
Yeah, no
Finance.
doubt. I've never even heard of y'all prior to you hopping on this thing. I was like, but we're gonna dive into that. We're gonna dive
Okay,
into that for sure.
sounds good.
What I want to get to know first is your why, right? I want to know the why of journalism. The Was there any role models growing up? Were there
Hmm.
anybody who inspired you growing up? Like, Why did you go into the career of journalism?
Yeah, so I kind of, gravitated it to it in high school. Just yeah, started writing for my high school paper. I really liked the possibility it offered to meet people that I wouldn't ordinarily meet. In high school, everybody has their cliques, their groups they hang out with. And I, really got a chance to meet other people from different groups that, I passed by in the hallway or whatever, but I'd never actually had conversations with them and didn't get to know them as people,
Sure.
um, just sort of passing by. So, yeah, I really liked that aspect of it. I liked writing, putting together a story. And so, yeah, when I was in high school, I decided, that was something I really wanted to go into. I wanted to continue pursuing that. Had a lot to learn. It took some time because it's very much a trade, and there's definitely a structure to journalistic articles. It's not like creative writing at all.
Right,
Um,
right.
but yeah, I would say, let me see, role models. I'm also a photographer, so I really liked, photojournalists. There's
Mm,
one I really like, Stanley Green. He was,
okay.
well, both of them, the photographers I really like, Lindsay Addario and Stanley Green, they're war photographers. Or Stanley Green passed away, but I really admire their courage. And, they really went to some of the just, situations, places on earth that other people would shy away from because they
Okay.
really wanted to tell this story of what was happening, like in Afghanistan, Libya, um, Chechnya when there was a war there. So yeah, I would say a lot of my role models growing up were photographers mainly, and they still fell into the journalistic component. But yeah, I really admired the work they did, the bravery, and yeah, I just kept took some photojournalism classes when I was getting my master's. That was really fun. We got to study more about them, and yeah, just kind of continued working in the field. And here I am.
I love it. I do. And that's great. That's awesome. Typically you get to start in high school, right? And then be able
Yeah.
to kind of I wouldn't say perfect the craft, but kind of just learn the basics of journalism, and then to go off in school, which leads me to the next question that I have, which is you went to the University of North Carolina, Asheville, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken.
Yeah.
And I want to know, were there any other schools out there that could have persuaded you from going there?
Oh wow. Yeah, so I actually prior to University of North Carolina, Asheville, I started way back over 10 years ago at University of British Columbia in Vancouver.
Okay.
And they don't have a journalism bachelor, so I was going to major in international studies and political science. Second year, I did an exchange in Germany, and then I came back to the States, and I was kind of disgruntled. I remember when I was in Germany, I went to a guidance counselor talking, I was thinking, oh, I might want to stay here. This education's really good. And I said to her, so how much does it cost? And she looked at me very strangely and she was like, it's free. Like, like it was very much like why would you even ask this question type of look.
Right. Right.
And so when I got back to the States, I was just like, comparing the prices for school. It was like astronomical. And I was like, I was 20 and I, just kind of wanted to take a break. I had just put myself through school like nonstop for years. And so, yeah, I, took some time off, like 3 years off. And yeah, so when I was applying to school, I got into a bunch of colleges, um, University of Hawaii, University of Colorado Boulder, University of Toronto, and a few colleges in New York City like Eugene Lang. And a lot of the main decision why is Canada is a lot cheaper for international students. And having grown up in North Carolina, I also wanted to go as far away as possible
Okay.
from where I grew up. So yeah, the farthest option on the North American continent was Vancouver, aside from Hawaii, like which is even farther. But yeah,
Right.
it was Vancouver, and Vancouver is a very beautiful place.
Yes, it
And
is.
yeah,
Yeah.
um, I really like it. So I went there, yeah, and also another factor limiting me from going back to Vancouver was the fact that it rains 6 months out of the year.
Mm.
Um,
That's
so
tough.
yeah, yeah, that's kind of also why I wanted to take a break. I was like, I love Vancouver. I, visit Vancouver, but I don't think I can live there again just because of the weather. It was, very I have seasonal affective disorder. So if it's, gloomy outside or raining and, over an extended period of time, that kind of tends to bring you down. So yeah, that's and so it was a combination of that and also, like realizing in some countries, like, oh, education's free. They want people, to be educated and, they don't put them in debt like for tens of thousands of dollars. So I was kind of like thinking about it and I was like, okay, yeah, let me take some time off and just like reconsider and, like catch my breath.
Sure.
But
Sure.
then I went to University of North Carolina, Asheville, because in-state tuition is very cheap. It wasn't, that was solely the only reason. And also it was a good school. Like it's a liberal arts college, it's not like, like a massive campus like UNC Chapel Hill or Duke
Sure.
or
Yeah, yeah.
NC State. Yeah. They have people there are cool. They have like the humanities program, which everyone has to take, and it's kind of, all inclusive of like art, literature, history. So that was cool. And then I got to basically customize my own major and minor, which I really liked. Some places you go and you're like set in a path right away. And this school allowed me to really, pick and choose and kind of piece together what I wanted to do.
I like that. I do. And thank you for that backstory because I had no idea
Yeah.
that you went through those different schools as well, and even going to Canada. I really do appreciate that. So, yes, good little nuggets to know. I want to ask you some favorite things, right? So,
Yeah.
basically, what this is I'm gonna ask you some favorite questions, and then you tell me what it is. Okay?
Oh, wow. Okay. I'll do my best.
Let's do it. All right. Favorite meal you like to cook?
Oh, wow. Okay. I would have to say, let me see. My mom, she's a very good cook. So she makes this delicious pasta. It's called orecchiette, and she puts broccoli with it and pine nuts and Parmesan cheese. It's like, when people say like, what would be the last meal before you die? It would be orecchiette.
Well, that's good, but I'm talking about you. Shout out to your mom though. What's the
Yeah.
favorite meal you like to cook?
Yeah, I like cooking that recipe.
Oh, so you do. Oh, okay. You started off
Yeah.
with your mom cooking. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's great. That's awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
got you. So you can cook that too.
Yeah. 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 I can make that.
Okay, okay, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Favorite sport you like to watch?
So I have a couple. Figure skating. I was really into figure skating when I was younger because I really admired like the beauty and the elegance of it, but also
Sure.
it requires so much strength. It was shocking because, when you go ice skating, you can barely, at least for me, I can barely, move in the center of the rink. I'm clinging to the side, like tripping,
Sure.
and like,
Oh yeah.
just to see them like doing these massive jumps, like the upper body power they have, while at the same time being very elegant. I was just like amazed by it. I was like, wow, like, they're true athletes. And also I grew up with my uncle. My family is originally from upstate New York. And so I grew up with him watching Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl.
Sure.
So I'm a Buffalo fan. It's very painful year over year to be a Buffalo fan, but yeah, I the motto for Bills fans is you've got to believe. So I subscribe to that motto.
All right. No, I listen. I totally get that on the Buffalo Bills side. It's funny that people say that because it's hard to go to a Super Bowl, and when you go to four straight Super Bowls, that's
Yeah,
pretty impressive, right? Because there's a
yeah,
lot of franchises that haven't even been to a Super Bowl.
right,
So,
absolutely.
but I love that. I love the fact that you're a Bills fan. I have family in upstate New York as well.
Oh, really?
So,
Which part?
uh, Rochester.
Oh, okay, yeah, I've been to Rochester.
Yeah, so Rochester, yeah. So I do I go up there at least once or twice, visit my family a year. So yeah,
Hmm.
definitely a lot of ties up there to upstate New York. And then also the figure skating. Probably the first time anyone has mentioned that sport on
Really?
my yeah. I don't think anyone has, and that's pretty good. That's pretty good because
Okay.
that's the reason why I ask these questions is because I love the different answers that I get and the reasons why.
Mm.
That's pretty good. Favorite concert you've ever attended?
Oh my God. Oh my God. I cannot. I've been to, so I actually have very bad hearing.
Okay.
Because as a photographer, especially in college, I would kind of do this thing where I would see an artist come and I'd be like, oh, I'd like to cover them for my school newspaper. And so I would get tickets to the pit, right in the center. Everyone else, they're in the audience,
Oh
they're
yeah.
scrambling to get to the front, and I'm in the pit, like, but right by the speakers. So when you're right by the speakers, for an extended period of time, you lose your hearing. or you start to lose your hearing. And so that's why, like, whenever someone says something to me, I have to be like bending over and be like, wait, what did you say? Like, um, I yeah, I've been to over 1,000 concerts. Oh my God. That is such a tough question. My first concert was this band. They were called Lady Tron. They're like this
Wow.
electronic band from the UK.
Okay.
That was fun. I would have to say the best one though.
Yeah.
So I'm a really big fan of this artist. She's originally from Brooklyn. Her name is Santa Gold.
Okay.
And Santa Gold is amazing. She combines kind of like reggae because she's Jamaican.
I
And
love it. I love it.
yeah, she combines like 80s new wave Devo, and she puts all these crazy genres together you would never expect. Like, you listen to her music and you're like, wow, she's a total perfectionist. And so I have been listening to Santa Gold since like my second year or my junior year of high school when she released her debut album. And that's still one of my favorite albums to listen to because it's just genius and so original in every way. And so a few years ago, 2016, my friend, who's also a friend of Santa, or a friend, who's also a big fan of Santa Gold, he said to me, "Oh, Santa Gold is playing in Charlotte. Do you want to go?" And I'm like, "Yes, absolutely. This is like
Right.
dream
Right.
come true for me." And so yeah, we went to Santa Gold. We were having a good time, doing some pre-drinking, and like, then we get there and she just turns out to be amazing. Halfway through her show, she opens the gates to the stage and is like, "Come on the stage and dance with me." And
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, it was amazing. I got to go on stage, like, just dance with her. She does this great song, Creator, and we were like singing the lyrics. And, I've been to shows where like they have insane security. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
this is the artist, you are the audience, don't get near them. But Santa Gold was just like totally open. She wanted to connect with her fans, and she wanted, her fans to really experience the show and the joy she was feeling. And yeah, I would have to say probably if one artist came to the top of my mind, Santa Gold.
Okay. I like that. Now, see, we get all kinds of answers on my podcast. Some people like Taylor Swift, some people like Beyonce,
Okay,
people like,
right.
kind of because you went kind of off mainstream. Some of the mainstream
Yeah.
parts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, do you prefer the underground kind of music over the mainstream?
I would say like, so I like, my favorite genre actually is jazz, like jazz
Okay.
from like the 1950s, like Miles
Oh,
Davis.
yeah.
Yeah, I recently bought a book about different jazz musicians. That's always the genre I go to when I just want to really chill out, like in the evening when I'm cooking. But yeah, I'm really into so many genres. I'm seeing Madonna next week, who's pretty mainstream.
That is
um
mainstream. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
very
Yes.
mainstream. But yeah, I would say so. I had a couple of radio shows in what at University of North Carolina. One of them was like dedicated. Also, another genre of mine that I really love is like 80s new wave.
Okay.
Um, so I, was listening to a lot of 80s new wave, like kind of like yeah, definitely it's not the type of music when you go to like a mainstream club and you hear like the top 40 bangers. It's definitely not that. um, but
Sure. Sure.
yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I would say the majority, but mainly jazz, new wave. I also really got into 90s house. Um, because yeah, I really love it. I love the sound.
Mm,
So I've been listening
okay.
to a lot of 90s house lately.
I
And
like that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but kind of really all over the place.
Well, as you should be, right? Music is
Yeah.
like that. You should be listening to many different genres. I know me personally, I like all different kind of genres as well. I am a
Mhm.
jazz fan, right? You
Mhm.
mentioned Miles Davis, Muddy Waters, B.B. King,
Yes.
Those are a couple more that come to my mind. Huge Ray Charles fan, not really
Hmm.
so jazz, but he's more soul.
Right.
But he's somebody who is definitely on my speakers as well. So I love that. Last of the favorites, and this one is favorite place you've ever traveled to.
Oh my God. Wow. I've been to, let me see, like traveling is probably the number one thing in life I love. Wow, this is really tough. Ooh, okay, let me think. Probably Japan. Um,
Okay, now why did you go to Japan?
my boyfriend is Japanese. So I mean, I've always wanted to go to Japan since I was 11. And so it we were planning on going right before COVID happened, and then COVID happened and Japan shut down their borders, and literally they did not open up the borders until the end of last year.
Sure.
So like the instant they opened up the borders, we were like, yes, we're going. Um, so yeah, I mean, I've been to so many great places like India, China, different parts of Europe. I've never been to South America, Africa. Um, I probably don't plan on going to Antarctica. Um, just because it's too cold. I've been to Australia. That was my first trip. New Zealand. Uh, Wow. Yeah. Oh God. I would, let me see.
Well, I like the Japan answer. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I would probably have to say Japan. It's just it's so like it's such a really interesting mix of, you know, ancient and modern because like Tokyo is like so like I live in New York, but New York is small compared to Tokyo. Like it's one fourth the size of Tokyo.
Mm,
And you just go there. I was so overwhelmed. Like it was just like I couldn't believe the malls there. They stretch for like 13 stories. They just keep going up and up and up. And just the lights in like center Tokyo, it's like much bigger than Times Square. And it's like super fascinating. You can go to Tokyo, which is like the super modern city. You can ride the bullet train, which is like so relaxing and phenomenal. And then you're in Kyoto, which is like the ancient capital, very beautiful, very traditional architecture. It's just a really relaxing place.
hmm
Yeah, it's and the people are so nice. Like I'm learning Japanese right now, and you go there like sometimes when I've gone to countries, I if I was learning the language, sometimes people, automatically switch to English, either automatically switch to English if they hear my American accent, or they'll sometimes they won't be as open, they'll be like, no, 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 you can't really, like, no, that's not, we can't really converse. But in
mm,
Japan, people are so happy if you're learning the language, they're so open to you, like you actually like really want to, converse and really just like, immerse yourself there because people are so nice, like especially in the southern part, like the island of Kyushu, people everywhere I went, everyone was so nice. So I feel really welcome in Japan. Like it's a very relaxing place, and everywhere you go is just like beautiful. Like
love
it's
that. That's definitely
yeah,
a bucket list item of mine for sure.
yeah. You have to go. Yeah, I'm going back the 25th actually, so super
Okay,
excited
okay,
about that. Yeah.
got you. I love that. I love that. Shout out Japan.
Yeah.
This next question has to do with I'll it's two part, right? Because it's about mental health and work life balance.
Oh
You know,
wow. Okay.
as reporters,
Yes.
the two words that's kind of synonymous with us is underpaid and overworked. Now you're in a
Oh yeah.
pretty good market in New York, right? New York's
Mhm.
a very good journalistic market.
Right.
But at the same time, we work long hours, we deal with sources.
Mhm.
Sometimes you deal with people that are just not good, to lack of a better phrase. But how do you deal with your mental health? And how do you keep your work life balance? Like you said, you have a significant other. but you also have family, friends, or you may not have family friends out there, but you have family friends, uh, that you call or talk to. How do you deal with your mental health, being able to keep it good, and also a work-life balance to where you're not getting overstressed and burnt out?
Yeah, wow, that's a really good question. So I'll be completely candid with you because I think it's really important to be open about mental health. I think
Sure.
it's a lot of people are ashamed if they, have things they're struggling with. I have been struggling with since I got a medication for different things, bipolar 2, ADHD, and anxiety and depression. I think it's especially living in like, this world, this influx of information, being a millennial, it's very difficult in the United States to be a millennial because people can't afford homes anymore, like it's a different generation than the boomers. So I've been struggling with a lot of that and I'm really open about it, just because I feel like there people are, just kind of shy away from talking about it, out of shame. So I mean, I do take medication for it. I have been on medication for a while, and that's really helped. I also see a therapist. So I break down if I was struggling with something, if something is on my mind, I can always talk to my therapist about that. And yeah, it can be tough, like New York is not, to be fair, it's not an easy. I love New York. It's my favorite city, but it's not an easy place to be. New York is crazy. It's
Sure.
very go go go. People can be really aggressive. I see a fight almost every day that I'm taking the train. People will just they really get in fights all the time, or they'll be in really
Yeah.
bad moods. So that can kind of bring you down. It can, put you on edge a lot. It's a lot. Just New York is a lot of energy at once to handle. Um, so yeah, what I do, and so I really love Lady Gaga. She has I read somewhere she does this thing where she wakes up every morning and she tells herself 10 things she likes about herself, like 10 things that are good about herself. So just to build a positive mindset for the day. So that's what I do. I tell myself, I wake up, I tell myself positive things just to facilitate a positive mentality. I also recently started doing this thing where I tell myself 10 things I'm grateful for on a daily basis.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, I'm grateful. I have two wonderful cats. I live in my favorite city. Like I recently had an injury where I uh, popped my knee out and tore a ligament, dislocated
Wow.
my knee, and I
Wow.
had to go through surgery. It was months rehabilitation. And so I'm grateful now I'm able-bodied. I don't have, like mobility issues. I'm not walking on crutches or in a brace anymore. So that's kind of what I do, like two things I do to facilitate a positive mentality. It's really just about, not letting your negativity overtake you, which I think is really easy, especially in like, this time. Millennials are burned out, they undergo a lot of stress. And also, yeah, just like living in New York too, it's, a lot to deal with. But yeah, I would say I really like my work. People are really nice. I've been in situations before where I had editors who were really stressful, who
Yeah,
I wasn't
no
able to
doubt.
sleep at night.
Right.
So yeah, now it's kind of the opposite. It's really chill. They've been super open to me learning the subject matter, and asking questions, which is really important. Like I feel like I am slowly building up a knowledge and getting better at it because it's very niche. It's not, if you're walking down the street and you ask someone, what do you know about real estate private equity, they're going to be probably a majority of people are not gonna really know or like
Yeah,
not know the details.
include me. You right.
Yeah, it's I didn't know anything about it before I started. But yeah, it's I would say yeah, it's just, a combination of telling myself positive things. Work-life balance. I definitely, try like, to demarcate my time like okay, like 9:30 to 5 is my work and then I get home, I do things I like. I exercise, I cook dinner, read, say and on the weekends same thing too. It's like I'm going to go out, enjoy my life, and really just, do things I want to do, like hobbies and stuff. And
Sure.
then, when it's time to work, it's time to work. Um, so yeah, I try to really, balance that.
No, that makes perfect sense. I think it's a great question to ask all people because people do struggle with that. I know I have. Moving to Minnesota, being a sports reporter out here,
Yeah,
it was very tough because my family is in the southeast and I have some family in the northeast. Right, told you
right.
upstate New York. My mother's in Georgia, so not having my
Okay.
family around was very tough. But
Yeah,
um,
that's a
some of
big
the
move.
things, yeah, huge move, right? So, but some of the things that you talked about, I like to exercise. I like to write poetry. I also like to be able to read as well. I like reading biographies more than
Oh
anything.
yeah.
Um, I like to go to events, music concerts, sporting events. Just kind of take my mind off, right? The work
Yeah.
life balance. I'm a bachelor still,
Okay.
so that's not as hard for the as far as relationships goes because I'm not in one. But obviously, the work life balance you got to shut it off, right? When it's time to get off, it's time to get off. Sports is nights and weekends and evenings,
Mm,
so you get off late at times. So it's
absolutely.
hard
Yeah.
to kind of try to build a relationship with someone because you're getting off at 11 o'clock, you're getting off at 10 o'clock, you're writing on a deadline, so it's not really business hours.
Yeah.
It's later times because that's when sports happens. So um, that also affected me at first too. Not so much now because I understand. I didn't understand when I first got into it, but now that I've been in it for a few years now, I do understand that this is just the way it is, and you kind of gotta go along with somebody who understands your occupation and who is tolerant of your occupation as far as that
Absolutely.
significant
Yeah.
as far as that significant other goes. So yeah, I like that. I like your candidness too. I appreciate you being open, right? A lot of people don't want to talk about mental health. A lot of people don't want to say they're seeing a therapist. A lot of people don't want to say they're taking medication. And sometimes you do need those things to help you. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
so I do appreciate that a lot. I want to talk about your favorite piece, or give me a couple favorite pieces that you wrote
Oh,
for
wow.
for with intelligence. And and again, this is a two-part question. That, but I also want to know how did you find this job? Like, what was the process of you getting this role?
Yeah. So I was prior to this, I was freelancing, doing local New York City community news.
Hmm.
And basically what happened was, freelancing is kind of like you were saying, it's very it can be really erratic hours. So you might be working at like 2 a.m. and, like y- I don't know. I loved it for a while, but then I was like, okay, I definitely felt it was unpredictable and I
Yeah.
wanted something more stable. And I had interned at CNBC on their investigative team and I liked business reporting, I liked finance reporting, and I wanted to learn more. So I just, yeah, I started looking for jobs in the area, that had like, regular working hours, like within a normal time frame. And yeah, that fell under the finance reporting category. And yeah, I read the description and I was like, wow, I don't know anything about real estate, but it sounds interesting.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I applied. And Yeah, did a couple interviews, talked to some people, yeah, just talked about my background and, what I was looking for in a job. And yeah, they were really nice and they offered me the position, which I'm super grateful for.
Sure, sure. And what is a couple favorite pieces that you wrote since you've been there that you can remember reporting on?
Oh wow. Okay. So yeah, let me think. Yeah. So I love writing about, so I came from a community journalism background. So I really like, prior to this, writing about local news. And I think one of the pieces that I really liked, I like it because the person who ran the company was super, honest with me. And a lot of times when you're talking to like these major multi-billion dollar companies, they don't want to open up, or, they'll be very like stiff. But this person, he was really addressing the affordable housing issue, which is, huge right now in the country. Like so many people can't afford places to live. And they might be, their salary might, be okay, but for what apartments are costing, it's astronomical. It'll take out a majority of their paycheck.
Yeah.
So he was really, it was called Housing Us, and he was really doing this. He was launching, it was a small fund in comparison to the funds I've written about. It was $10 million. um but the fund was really helping people in areas like Atlanta, Maine, which was super interesting. I haven't really heard of a lot of investment in Maine. And the firm Housing Us is putting them on a path to home ownership. So
Okay.
I thought that was super interesting. When you hear people who are making an impact, who, a lot of investment firms are just like, okay, I just want to make as most money as possible. But I could tell, like, talking to this person, they really cared. Um, yeah, that was a favorite story of mine.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I would say I also like coming from, like, I really like going into the details of things. That's something that I enjoy. It's very nerdy, but when you have like a database and documents, just like searching for like an hour or two, and like, once you can find a story from something, a detail that is easily overlooked. I love it when that happens. I'm like, okay, like, this is a story. So in real estate, there are funds like pools of capital, and you have closed-ended funds which like end after a period of 10 years. And then you have open-ended funds which go on and on and on. Some of them have been going on, 30, 40 years.
Okay.
So in real estate, there's a bunch of you could say categories of properties. There's core, which is considered the highest level property, like they're called class A. And then there's, if class B needs some renovation, class C really needs renovation. It could be in an area where income is low, where job prospects are low. Like class C, I would say, definitely requires more capital. And so a lot of the open-ended funds focus on core properties, the really desirable locations, properties that don't require renovation, but they're not
Right.
doing so well. So because office space in the US is really suffering as a result of the pandemic, a lot of people are working from home.
Yep.
And that's really caused, a decline in rents. There's also an issue of political risk. So in cities like San Francisco and Portland, there, there's very high crime. There's a lot of homelessness. There's, a lot of the fentanyl crisis has really taken over. I can attest, visiting Portland, it was I almost had a really scary incident. Just like uh
Wow.
yeah, and so office space in these cities, LA, San Francisco, Portland, other places, even there, people don't want to invest. The owners, the tenants don't want to come into work because they're afraid. So, investors are shying away from office space in these cities. It's just not profitable anymore. And so I would say probably I've done a series of stories. A lot of investors are going into, it's called redemption queues, where they're asking to pull out their money from these funds, for a variety of reasons, mainly office. And a lot of the funds are suffering. So
Okay.
yeah, I would say stories about redemption queues, or just stories, I found, by digging through the details, that I really, really like that, because you can write a press release or whatever, and that's super easy. And, it's not really news. But if you find something, that nobody else is reporting, like this redemption queue is surging, like you're really informing the audience, like of people of something they didn't know. Like you
Right.
found it, it's fresh intel, like it's stuff that Bloomberg or Wall Street Journal hasn't reported yet. So I really like finding original stories, like redemption queue stories. And yeah, I feel like there's a lot more to come. uh, as I like learn more about real estate, private equity. Yeah, I
Sure.
feel like,
Absolutely.
yeah, hopefully. But yeah, I would say, like, I really like about unique stories, like niche firms, like not necessarily like, multi-billion-dollar funds, because there's a lot of that. But just people who are doing unique things, and like people who genuinely want to address, like the housing crisis, for instance. It's huge. So yeah, I would say stories like that.
That is awesome. I mean, that is no question about that. And people need to know. People need to know about real estate and equity. And like you said, the pandemic has really rocked a lot of local small businesses, office space. People are working from home now, because now it's more accessible, right? And in the pandemic, you really had to kind of come up with different ways to still be able to work, because you wasn't going into buildings and doing different things like that. No one, I never would have thought Portland would be a city for high crime. I was like,
Oh
man,
my
I've
God,
heard,
no,
I've
it's
always heard beautiful things about Portland. That's for sure.
I went there in 2009, and I don't know, do you know the show Portlandia? It's like,
I've heard about it. I don't know much about it, but I've heard of
okay, it's very much a satire of Portland. It's this it was this very trendy, like hipster capital, and these two comedian, well, one of them is a musician and the other one was on Saturday Night Live. They, kind of, it's a satire of, all the quirky people you meet in Portland. And, it gave this impression, oh, it's a very cute, fun city. And when I went back there in late 2021, it was not that city anymore. Um, it was scary. They have a really bad meth crisis. A
it.
lot of
Wow.
people lost their jobs after the pandemic, and there is a ton of homelessness. Very scary. People, like, if you stay in hotels, they literally lock the door in the daytime. So you have to, wave at the hotel clerk, or, press the button for them to buzz you in. Because yeah, like it's really scary. I almost had somebody try to break into my hotel room in Portland. That was
Mm,
terrifying.
of
I
course.
don't know what would have happened. I still don't know what would have happened. I'll always be wondering, but I'm grateful it didn't happen.
I
Um,
am too. Wow.
yeah,
Almost breaking through your hotel. That is crazy as hell. My goodness.
yeah, yeah. It was so basically what happened was, me and my boyfriend, we were going back to the hotel. We just went out to the deli to buy some water, and there was this person. They were sitting on the bench. And then, so in order to go up the elevator, you had to have a key to your room.
Hmm.
And he comes in the elevator and he was like, I don't have a key. And So I was like, okay, that's fine, no worries. I pressed the button to our floor. And then I'm realizing, like, he doesn't have a key. He got off on the same floor as us. I was like, this is weird. And so he is like, my boyfriend is looking for his key, and he is like walking ahead of us, but he's turning around and looking at us, like, and stopping, and like
Right.
backpack. So I don't know what's in that backpack. And he's waiting for him to get the key and open the door.
Sure.
Yeah. And so I was freaking out. I realized this. I was like, oh my God, like, what do I do? I like told him, I was like, hey, I lied. And I was like, I left my bag, I left something downstairs. And so I go to the elevator and I pull up a blank text message and I'm like, this guy, I type it in and I show him, I was like, this guy is going to break into our room. And so we go downstairs. I tell the front desk, like, I'm like, look, I'm really concerned. Like, this is this person trying to break into our room, was like, watching us, waiting for us to open the door, like, has a backpack. I don't know what's happening and I'm scared. And so then he comes down and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to freak you out. You look just like someone I knew who I was meeting. And I was
Hmm.
like, why didn't you say that to me in the first place? Like, when we were getting on the elevator, like, so yeah, that was, and after that, I started doing research into Portland and found out, yeah, they have a really bad meth crisis, homelessness crisis. It was not the city that I visited like 10 years ago.
Years ago. Right. Right.
And then I found out investors they're scared of Portland. Just for that reason, a lot of desolate office space when you go there, like, it's a big problem. And I also think just learning about more about this field, I would like to see more people investing in mental health facilities. Like, I guess it would fall under medical office. But I think, investing in mental health facilities, would be really good, because that's another component of mental health, right? Like, that, is very much an issue in this country, and it's not being addressed or resolved, like, so yeah, that was my experience in Portland. It was terrifying.
Okay.
And yeah,
That's
needless to
different.
say,
That's different. That's for sure.
yeah.
But a good thing that you obviously on the positive end of that, it ended on the positive end of that, and nothing happened drastically in that weird exchange between you and whoever that other person was.
Yeah.
Well, now this is the portion of the podcast where we do this or that. So this
Okay.
or that is basically I'm throwing two things at you, and you go ahead and choose one or the other. Are you ready, Larissa?
I don't know. I'll do my best.
Okay. All right, here we go. We're gonna start it off something easy.
Okay.
Popeyes or KFC?
Oh God, KFC. I love their sandwiches and I love their sauce.
Okay, okay. Uh, which sport would you rather watch on TV? Baseball or basketball?
Basketball. I understand basketball a lot more than baseball. Baseball, I feel like I'd have to really study and I probably couldn't get into it as much initially.
Okay, that's all right. I like that. I love basketball too. That's my favorite sport. Chicken
Oh,
wing flavor, barbecue or lemon pepper?
barbecue. I like the sauce.
I love it. I love it. Okay, I'm with you on that. Do you like bone in or boneless?
Boneless. I actually really don't like bone. I don't know why. I just yeah, I it doesn't taste good, and like sometimes you bite into it and it, like, I don't know, it's hard on your teeth, and yeah, I'm not a fan of bone.
I understand. I get that. Okay. Um, which place would you rather go back to live? North Carolina or Canada?
Canada. Very easy. Love Canada. Maybe Toronto. I don't
It's good,
know.
good
Yeah,
city.
maybe Vancouver, but North Carolina. I like North Carolina to visit. But definitely Canada. I love. just being there, and it's very chill.
Okay. Now, music concert you rather go to?
Oh,
Would you rather go to, I would say, would you rather go to a Taylor Swift concert or would you rather go to a Beyonce concert?
Beyonce.
I like that. I like
Yeah, I think she's more talented than Taylor Swift, and I really
that.
liked Renaissance. I think that was a great album. Yeah, I'm actually not that big of a fan of Taylor Swift. Yeah,
Mm,
definitely.
okay, okay. That is a hot take because girl,
Yeah,
you are on you are on
I
this
know it's
boat by
controversial.
yourself.
It's controversial.
Yeah.
No, I think Beyonce is an iconic performer, and I talked to a taxi driver who used to be her personal chauffeur, and he was like, yeah, she's such a nice person. Like he had
Mm,
nothing but great things to say about Beyonce, so that made me more of a fan.
okay, I like that. Now, which wacky sport would you rather play? Would you rather play bowling or badminton?
Oh wow. I like bowling. I'm not good at it, but I like it because it brings back childhood memories. Just going to the bowling alley and having a pizza party, and always believing that, by round 10, you're somehow going to turn things around.
Okay, that's pretty neat. I like that. We got two more of the this or that. Okay,
Okay.
another music concert. Which one would you rather go to? Would you rather go to? I would say BB King, a
Mm.
jazz concert, or would you rather go to? I would say a Muddy Waters concert. Which jazz person would you rather listen to?
I would have to, wow, that's really good. I would have to say Muddy Waters.
Okay, I like that. I
I,
like that. Yeah, hey, he's a
both are great
bad
artists.
man. Bad man. No question
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're both
Yes,
great artists
indeed.
though.
So, this is the last of the this or that. We talked about you being a Buffalo Bills person and you liking the Bills.
Yeah.
Which quarterback do you love the most? Jim Kelly or Josh Allen?
Oh my God. Wow. Yeah, I have to go with Josh.
Okay.
Just because I was 2 and 3, I think, very little when Jim Kelly was playing. So yeah, I've really been following Josh more. I wasn't really like, you know, I didn't really know Jim Kelly that much. I just saw them on TV. So right now I would have to go with Josh.
Okay. And he's a bad man too. They have a very if I'm not mistaken, they got a very good matchup this week.
Okay.
Uh coming up. I think they're playing. Uh, don't get me lying to you. I could be lying, but I think they're going to be a very good matchup this week. But they're behind those Dolphins in the division, and it's only a few games left. Do you think they'll catch
No. I know I say you've got to believe, like that's the motto, but this season it's just been it's been heartbreaking. Maybe I'll change it if they win this game, but like the rest of their schedule is super tough. I think they're playing the Chiefs.
it? They are playing the Chiefs this week. Yes, in
Yeah,
Kansas City.
yeah, which is, a few years ago that playoff game was crazy.
Yes,
Um, yeah, I want to believe, but yeah, it's just such a tough schedule. They
it
have the
is a tough
talent,
schedule.
but I don't know if I really hope so though. I really hope so. I'm not mad at them. A lot of fans are mad right now. I'm not mad at them. They've just had, with injuries and stuff, a bad year. So I think definitely in the future they'll be able to pull it together and like get back to where they were the past few years. But yeah, this year I think maybe is not the year, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. Before I get to the next question, I'll finish it out on that. I do have a lot of confidence in Josh Allen. I think he's a terrific quarterback. They
Yeah.
do have some good pieces. I do think the window though is starting to close on this particular team. Sometimes when you just get there, you keep getting there. They've been regressing in the playoffs. They went to the AFC Championship, and now they're not getting to the divisional, and now they're struggling to even make the playoffs.
I
So
know. I know.
uh, I think the window is starting to close on that chapter of that team, and they're going to have to shake up a little bit. The injuries have hurt, but also the schedule. The schedule has been brutal.
Schedule has been really bad this year.
They have, right? They played the Dolphins. They still got to play them again in
Yeah.
Miami. They beat them. They played the Eagles, which was defending NFC champions. Now they're playing the Chiefs, the Super Bowl champions. They play Dallas next week, if I'm not mistaken. They're a pretty good team.
Yeah.
They've just had a brutal stretch of their schedule for sure. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the Bills. But you know, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out this Sunday and Sundays moving forward.
Yeah, they've got to win this. Like they've got to, come from behind. They've always been the underdogs, but I'm still gonna root for them.
As you
Yeah,
should, as a proud Bills fan. You like you
yeah,
said, you got a Bill leave, so you got to root for them until the very end.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this year is the year. They're gonna get back to the playoffs. I don't. My gut is telling me no. But we'll see. You never know. Like
You
they
never
could.
know. There's 5 games left, so you never know how things can pan out for sure. This next question has to do with advice. What is the best advice you have been given, or you
Oh,
have gave someone about your career?
oh my God. That's really tough. I've been given a lot of advice. Yeah, I've had really good mentors. It's a cliche, but like I would say really never give up. Like always, maintain a positive attitude. You gotta, you know, just remain optimistic. Things are gonna work out. Sometimes, especially in journalism, it's easy to get dejected, when there are layoffs happening all the time. It's a very precarious industry. You don't know, if you're going to have your job. And I think, after the pandemic was really tough searching for jobs for a lot of people, myself included. um and ooh, sorry.
Oh, bless
um
you.
Thank you. And there was a time I was considering going back to work or going back to school for social work. And then I just said, I chose this career path. I'm gonna stick to it. And, then I got to freelancing and just kind of, doing my own thing. And yeah, yeah, I would say, yeah, never give up. Just keep
Cool.
trying. If you work hard, things will work out. You just got to keep working.
I like that. I got some really good advice too, which was just to keep going. 2 words,
Yeah.
keep going, right?
Yeah.
Kind of similar to what you said. It was just one of those things where you're gonna have some long days, long hours. Sometimes sources are not gonna work out. Sometimes things are not gonna go your way, but keep going because the good days outweigh the bad. You got to really
Exactly.
love this industry to be in it because
Yeah.
if you're looking for a payday,
Yeah.
that's probably not going to happen starting out.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
No question. You got to be able to um, really love what you do and love it with a passion. And if you work hard enough, other people will see that, and then eventually you will be rewarded financially because they're looking at you and wanting to see what are you willing to do. So I tell everybody, especially incoming graduates, because I have some
Mhm.
graduates here or some episodes here, people that graduate college and they're wondering what that first job will be like. I always tell them expect everything. Expect good, bad, and the ugly, and be mentally prepared.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because this job will test you mentally,
Oh yeah.
no question about it. And you got to be prepared for all three of those things because you're going to have a lot of good, you're going to have some bad, and you're going to
Hmm.
have some ugly as well. So if you're not mentally prepared for this and you're thinking that it's going to be one thing instead of the other, then it's going to be no good. And a lot of the graduates, sometimes they go to broadcast. You and I, we do print.
Hmm.
So the print side is to me is a little easier than broadcast. Because broadcast, they see
Right.
you on TV,
Oh my
and
God, podcast is
right,
crazy.
you know what I mean. So they
Yeah.
see you on TV, and they think the 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock news, you're all glammed up, and that's what you do. But they don't know the behind the scenes work that you do to prepare yourself. They really have no
Hours.
idea.
Yeah,
So,
hours.
so yes, I love that answer of advice. And I love this entire conversation. This conversation's been great. My last question to you
Yeah.
now is that you got to think of two people. Okay, two people that comes to mind. They could be both women. They could be both men. They could be one man, one girl. Doesn't matter. But you got to think about two more people who would love to do this podcast and tell their story and chop bread
Um,
with
I would have to say my coworker Toussaint. I've known Toussaint since I started CUNY. He has a really interesting background. He used to work as a senior producer at Yahoo Finance, and prior to that, he was at CNBC. And he's a very inspiring person. He's very willing to network, like really learn everything about the job. He just started not too long ago, and yeah, I find him to be a real inspiration. And
you. Okay,
then I would say another person I went to journalism school with, Danielle. She recently moved from New York to Mexico City. She's a freelancer, and yeah, she's also a fantastic photographer. So I would say Danielle as well. Those are two people, mainly journalism school colleagues, because there were a lot of inspirational people in journalism school.
absolutely. And yeah, we'd be remiss not to mention that you did get your master's there in New York at the graduate school at CUNY, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, shout out to Tucson, shout out to Danielle. Larisa is absolutely amazing. I'm hoping to get you guys on here on the LinkedIn. So if whenever I do post this and they listen to it, hopefully they will accept my invitation. But this has been a really, really wonderful conversation. I feel like I've learned a
Thank you
lot
so much,
about
Chris.
you. I feel like I've learned a lot about different stories, your background, what you went through. You like boneless wings. You are,
Yeah, most
so
importantly,
I
yeah.
love that. I love it. We throw in some great stuff about what you do as far as writing for the real estate, but we also throw in some fun questions. You are not a Taylor Swift fan, which
No,
that is absolutely
yeah, yeah. I don't know if
fine.
you should broadcast that too much.
Which is
Yeah,
absolutely fine because there's Swifties out there, there's non-Swifties, and that's okay. You're in the
yeah,
beehive. You're that
yeah,
is the
yeah. I'm in the
Swifties and then the
Bayhive.
beehive,
Yeah,
Beyonce. So that's what it is.
exactly.
So yes, but as I always do, to end my podcast shows, my last question is there anything else you would like to add before we conclude?
Hmm. Um, no, I think yeah, you pretty much covered everything. Yeah, questions I wasn't expecting too, which is great. Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time, and yeah, I really appreciate it. This is one of the first times I've ever been asked so thoroughly about myself. So yeah, that was
No
really,
doubt,
and I
no
love
doubt.
this podcast. I think it's fantastic. Yeah, just getting to know people, I think is great. So thank you, Chris.
Absolutely. It's a great way to, like I said, have great conversations, network, and talk about what you do. Some people may find it very interesting. Some people may want to reach out to you more and find that out, right? And this is a great way to do that. But it's also a great way to network and get to know somebody new. And like I said, you now are a new friend of mine, and I would definitely keep in contact with you and what you do.
Absolutely.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend, Larissa, and we'll be in touch.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.